Well, we promise you some great conversation with leading industry experts. So let's kick things off with our first panel of the day, IoT and Cybersecurity. Please welcome Scott Kuffer, COO and Founder of Nucleus Security, Benjamin Rowe, Cloud and Security Architect at Arcules, and Yatharth Gupta, VP of Product Management at SingleStore. Gentlemen, over to you.
Welcome to Revolution 2022. Today we have with us Ben and Scott. Ben and Scott are our customers. Ben, Scott, thank you so much for your time talking to us. This is one of my most favorite things to do is talk to our customers who use our product and see how what they're using our product and what they're doing. So why don't we start with some intros? Ben, why don't you go first? Tell us a little bit about Arcules and what you do at Arcules.
Sure, thank you. I'm Ben, and I am a cloud and security architect at Arcules. Arcules is an enterprise physical security platform encompassing a variety of different areas in a single control plane. We cover surveillance cameras, access control, IoT, and also artificial intelligence, to name a few.
Thank you, Ben. That seems like pretty exciting stuff, security. Scott, what about you? What do you do? What does Nucleus do?
Yeah, absolutely. Great to be here. My name is Scott Kuffer, and I am one of the co-founders and the chief operating officer at Nucleus. My background is doing work with folks in the U.S. government, and out of that work, we came up with a cybersecurity platform that is responsible for managing vulnerabilities at scale and automation across the defensive landscape of cybersecurity. So basically big data aggregation across all of the security tooling in an environment, and then taking workflows and actions based on the data and analytics that we generate off of that aggregated data set.
That is very interesting, Scott. You speak about security and taking actions in data. Like, how do you see data at your company? Like, what does data represent? Is it a pain? Is it something that you use to derive intelligence? Like, how do you look at data in databases?
Yeah, data at Nucleus is extremely important, right? I mean, just at the core of our platform and the core of the types of challenges that we're trying to solve for our customers is data. They are data related, right? So we integrate with hundreds of third-party vendors and aggregate data from all of those different data sources, and then provide our own enriched data sources on top of that, right? So we have our own algorithms, and we provide threat intel and those types of data feeds to be able to actually go in and manage the data across an organization. So what we're looking at is not just from our delivering the service for our customers, but also how we can generate data out of that to provide better and faster time to value for our product teams, for our own internal sources, so that we can provide, essentially the speed of our business can increase based on, we don't want to ever have to wait for analytics and for answers to questions. And so not just good data hygiene, but also the ability to deliver and grab and analyze that data at scale is a huge part of our business.
For database vendors like us, when you say things like, time to insights or the speed of analytics, that is music to our ears. There's something we hear a lot from across the board, right? Like data has become more and more powerful, and people want to mine that data, get that intelligence, and they want to get it in real time. Ben, how about you? How about Arcules and databases? Like, where do you guys use databases? What do you look for in a database? Is it speed, security? What do you look for?
Sure. So when we look at databases, we actually look at scale. And scale is a little interesting. It's not like this kind of fixed point in time, because it's very dependent on what you're trying to do with the data. But we kind of split it up into both kind of three sections: ingestion, storage, and also the query kind of concept of that. And a good example is how we use your product today. So we actually use this inside of our video timeline component. In order to be able to gather that data, we ingest over 100,000 pieces of data per second today in our system. And that's all done in real time. And then when the clients go and fetch that data, as they're fetching it, they're collecting their bucket of data, which normally compromises of millions of rows. And then we're actually doing real-time gap island analysis on that data. So basically what's happening is we've managed to tune your database basically to be able to provide this real-time insights into the video data with almost no lag, providing a huge value to our customer base. And it feels like it's an on-premise system in the cloud.
Thank you for that, Ben. That is amazing. One of the most rewarding things about my job is we build technology, but to see its real-world applications in a diverse set. We're talking to both of you. You're on the security side, but to see the diverse set of applications is pretty exciting. We always want to learn from you guys on how we are helping your company, not just the technology, but also on the business side. Like to the both of you, and maybe Ben, if you want to go first, like how has SingleStore shaped your business? Like what can you do today that you couldn't have done before? Or is this something you were doing before and was it slow, or how has it changed your business?
So this project specifically that I talked about was actually greenfield. So at the time although we had a solution, it wasn't really providing exactly what we needed. So this is more of a rip and replace kind of feeling for this. But ultimately, this helped bring our vision of this on-premise feel of a product into the cloud, reducing that lag. I mentioned all those queries, millions of data sets or millions of records that we have to run through with that real-time analysis. That's all done sub-second in real time, on top of the ingestion happening simultaneously. So finding a database to provide that, where we're able to provide that speed and also reduce the stigma that many companies have around moving on-premise solutions into the cloud, that was really, really powerful for us.
That's very interesting, because when we build the database, those are some of the things that we index on very heavily, right? Like we want to make sure our analytics is fast, because we fundamentally believe that if you can't get the answers when you need them, then it's you're losing value. We fundamentally believe that ingestion in our distributed system should be very, very quick, right? Like you shouldn't have to wait for getting data into SingleStore and getting the answer. So thank you for that, Ben. Scott, what about you? Like how has this changed Nucleus's business?
Yeah, it's been a very interesting journey, because when we first started going down this path of how do we process, millions and billions of vulnerability records at scale, we had two main problems. The first was that all of the data was relational to itself. And so, traditional kind of big data style data warehousing or, kind of NoSQL style solutions just weren't really great applications for what we were trying to do. And so we were trying to figure out how we could solve this gap of, well, all this data is relational and should be stored relationally, but we also need to be able to do analytics on that information, and we need to be able to do it really fast, because the last thing that you want is to be processing vulnerability information where, is essentially just windows into how people can attack you, and to not be able to respond fast enough just because it took you 6 hours or 8 hours to process and to like kind of have it run through its pipeline, right? And so when we were looking at how to do that and how to accomplish it, we're kind of in a tough place, right? Is how do we actually solve that, right? And that's where finding SingleStore, was called MemSQL at the time, was actually what really drove our ability to scale a lot faster, and our business has been able to grow really rapidly, because we were able to abstract a lot of that harder work of how do we solve some of these scale challenges with some relational data sets, and being able to do that in like Ben said, in sub-seconds with large volumes of data, right? If I'm processing 50 million vulnerabilities a day, I want to be able to say, oh, well, let me pull all of the analytics off of that, and then we want to be able to serve it extremely fast to the end customer, so that we can provide that data any time of day. So that way, if some sort of incident happens, you're not waiting on your vulnerability information, which is the last thing that a system like ours would be able to deal with, right? We want to make sure that all of that data is in real time and available to every customer. And so that's the big difference for us, is being able to do that. And we're talking about scales of 100x more, more speed in delivery of the service.
That is, again, like I said, some of these things are just fantastic to hear. I got to be honest, when we build this database, we do build it for speed, we do build it for ingestion, for analytics to serve a purpose. But when we see the applications, right, like you're building security software that's going to help, in some cases, save lives, in other cases, prevent people from being hacked. So, it's very, very rewarding for us to hear some of these things. One final question, this is my one question rapid fire to both of you before we end. When you think about SingleStore, what is the one word that comes to your mind? Scott, if you want to go first.
Yeah, this was actually a tough one, right? Because there's a couple sort of adjectives that I could use to think of when I think of SingleStore. But the big one that probably is the most impactful or the most relevant is actually just easy. It's very easy to use, and because it ties in so well with a traditional relational, SQL syntax, it makes it really easy to go in and not focus on the database and the data structures being the main limiting factor. We can focus on the architecture or focus on the query tuning. We don't have to focus on learning crazy systems that don't really make a whole lot of sense.
No, again, that is, easy is what we strive for. Easy is often hard. And the fact that, customers appreciate the fact that they didn't have to learn a new system is, again, very, very nice for us to hear. Ben, what is the one word that comes to your mind?
For us, it's scalability. That was the biggest thing for us as we grew. We looked at many different solutions. That was what stuck with us. Definitely, I get the easy as well. I 100% agree with Scott on that. But the scalability was the critical component for us as we move forward.
Thank you, Ben. Scalable, when you say our database is scalable, that is music to our ears. In today's day and age, when apps go up and down, we design our database to scale with your needs and both scale up and scale down. This has been super fun for me talking to you guys, seeing how you use SingleStore and seeing how it helps you out. I want to thank you very much for your time, and we look forward to our partnership with you. Thanks.